Chinmay and Raja, thank you so much for joining us in this Fire Up series of startup founder interviews that we are doing. We're just trying to capture, everybody has some fantastic experiences and something that worked well for every startup. So we just want to pick that one thing that each startup kind of did well and then just put it out there for other startups to in whatever form, leverage it. And you've had an amazing journey, both of you. And of course, we are very proud, Tripathi Alam. And then Tripathi seeded startup, started at Tripathi, first few years of the journey. And I know you were very early in the startup curve. I mean, there's a lot more awareness of the whole startup journey now, how to go about than it was when you started. Even as an incubator, I think we are much more aware now than we were back in 2013 when you started. So I think it's an amazing journey. So thank you for joining us. So given your experience, so what we think was like you pivoted towards consumer success in the consumer market, in a physical product, online, offline product market. You pivoted and then managed to get the customer traction. So that's the topic we have picked. I mean, how do you pivot towards customer traction? So before we get started, if you can take a couple of minutes to just summarize your journey. I mean, how did the idea come about for Clapone, and then how did it progress, and then how did it kind of get the exit, and then what are you doing now? And then we can discuss the topic.
Yeah.
Chinmay.
Yeah. So both of us, we studied at IIIT, and so that's when we met. Raja is my junior at college, and so our journey started. I think we've been doing a lot of experiments, and during the college times, like during our summer times, we actually started doing a couple of experiments, and then eventually by the end of our college tenure, so we came up with this idea again, like an experiment. Like we went to watch movie, and then like a lot of times, a lot of your friends will basically ask you, or like you discuss about the fashion in the movies, and that's when the idea struck us. And then we just thought, initially when we started, we just started to solve a problem of finding the same or similar apparels that your favorite actors wear in the movies or in the TV series, or anything on the digital and the screen. So that's how we basically started solving the problem of helping people dress like their favorite star. And so eventually, so that experiment turned into, it basically turned into a great opportunity, and then we started working on it.
So, so how did so at which point did you discover? I know you tried many things. You work with movie producers, with some movie stars, and you tried many things. Where did that kind of the bite come? When did the market traction start picking up? And when you started?
Okay. So I think the traction started from the day one. Like it's a pain point. Like a lot of people, probably a lot of people around us would definitely get inspired by their favorite star in the try to basically reflect their personality, or try to be fashionable. And so according to me, world fashion is largely inspired by celebrities and movies. So the journey that we basically started, it basically is a lot of feedback from a lot of people, and then eventually turned out into a business. An experiment turned into a business. So exactly to answer your question, Ramesh, I think there were if you talk about the entire ecosystem, we actually have our own users, and there's there are a lot of producers, production houses, and the actors, and a lot of stakeholders in this game. Initially, it was very challenging for us to basically convince, or and we didn't go with a minimum guarantee model. We always used to work on the revenue share model with this production houses and producers. it was a very big challenge for us to convince the producers and production houses initially. But then eventually, because of the traction, because of a lot of users coming onto the platform, I think it was easy for us to basically convince the producers and production houses to get onto the platform and start basically looking at an alternate revenue channel for them as a producer.
So, which, I mean, like now, in this case, like there are multiple, it's a little bit more complex than a simple marketplace. You need to
Yes.
get the producer on board who owns the rights. You need to get the stars on board because they are the kind of the reason somebody would come and buy the product. And
Yes.
then you have to procure the channels, acquire the channels to reach out to your consumers,
Yeah.
and then the consumers itself.
Yes.
Now, I know you try to go through the stars, through the producers. Yeah, you try to do your own merchandise and then get them on board.
Yes.
So, which, how did you bring all of this together? Meaning, like you said, finally it start working together. Once you start getting users, then it's easier to get producers on board.
Yes.
How do you start getting? What is the combination that you got together that helped you get those consumers and the traction, which made it easier after that?
So I think one of the major things that I mean, see, there are three things in our business. One is our consumers, one is the production houses and producers, the other is the supply chain. So the biggest problem that I mean, see, I think a lot of people have got this idea probably in the past. Also, I think it's a very common idea and very common inspiration that everybody will get. The biggest problem was the supply chain. So we started attacking one by one. Basically, three key things. One is our customers. The second thing is the production houses, and the third thing is the supply chain. When I say supply chain, it's the manufacturing. It's basically replicating the fashion or recreating the fashion of the movies. So these are the three very important things. The first thing that we actually started working on is the customers. The customers piece. I think we have taken the feedback from the customers very strongly. That's the key factor that actually made us pivot multiple times in our business model, where when we started as a deep tech company, just recommending the products which are similar to the products which are on the screen. Let's say if Salman Khan is wearing a white shirt, we used to recommend white shirts from different e-commerce websites of India, let's say Amazon, Myntra, Flipkart, or something like that. Then the from the user side, the feedback came saying that hey, you know what, guys, actually the Salman Khan is actually wearing a white shirt with a red button, as I mean on the fourth button is a red button. That's when the big challenge came in. So we couldn't basically find the same product on e-commerce channels as well. That's when we actually thought, okay, let's do an experiment where we actually recreate the fashion in the movies. That I think that's a humongous a boost that we have got from the customers. I think I mean the first biggest sale that has happened on our website was we actually were able to sell 600 shirts in just one day. That's when we basically didn't know what to do. We were doing 10 orders, 12 orders a day to 600 orders a day. That was a huge jump from the orders. That's when we realized that, okay, I think we are actually trying. I think the problem of customers is solved. Then comes the production houses. So the production house pitch is something what the evolution of revenue sources for a movie. In the previous days it was just the movie. Then came the satellite rights. Then came the digital rights. Then came the tickets. Then came the functions around or a lot of celebrations around the movie. So we basically pitched saying that, what, there is an alternate revenue channel which you can explore based on the fashion in the movie. The other part is the supply chain piece. I mean, I still think that it's a big challenge for us was the redoing the entire manufacturing cycle of fashion. Like usually if you go traditional industry would take anywhere between 4 to 6 months to manufacture, but because of the tech that we have built in house, we were able to get it to 45 days. Because the peak time for a movie fashion, fashion lives across, having said that, the fashion will actually live across for 2 years, but the peak time that you get for a movie sale would be between the trailer release to 2 months after the movie release. So that's how we connected one by one. We focused on one thing at a time and then tried to connect all these three things, and then that's how I think we made it.
So, so looking at the key pivot points,
Yes.
because that's what we're trying to understand. Uh, and obviously you have to pivot, right? If you start something, you have an idea, you have an hypothesis, and then once you get into the market, you will discover things like you discovered whether it's a supply chain sourcing problem or like or getting the exactly. I mean, the red button mattered so much to them. It's not just a white shirt. The white
Yes.
shirt red button mattered to the customers. So understanding the customer psyche, all that. So you will need to pivot. So if you summarize, what are some of the key pivots before you start getting a kind of very easily scaling model?
Okay. Raja, would you like to take it?
Sure. So as Chinmay told, the initial challenge was to help people with discovery. So when we're talking about discovery, we never thought about the supply chain part or a lot of other things. So the initial product what we have built and put it out for people is we take image, we take images from the backend and we kind of we have built some algorithms around that to fetch recommendations and we put it out there. There we, then we started looking at the traction, like how people are behaving on the website, how many people are clicking on the recommendations and what kind of recommendations people are clicking at. Because even we understand, so let us say I'm recommending three or four variants for a particular product. I know the weightages. I know product number 1 and 2 have 90% match, and the product 4 and 5 have only 40 to 60% match. That is that algorithm or the systems what you have built in the backend gives us that. Then we observed people are clicking on products which are so close to the real ones, and then we saw the behavior of the people, and then we started talking to e-commerce stores whether they can give us APIs for inventories and stuff, and we started integrating that. And then again, like because we want real-time inventory to show whether we should be able to make them click on the product or not, because if they click on the product and go to that particular e-commerce store, if they find it sold out, it would be a bad experience for our customers. So that is the first pivot of kind of product expansion, I would say, where we integrated inventories of the e-commerce stores and kind of made the experience better. And the second part comes in when people started talking to us, saying that eventually products are getting out of stock, because there will be only few popular products, and I'm sure like you understand the kind of following a film star or a cult film will have among public. So these the products are getting out of stock quickly. Then we went back to the drawing room and thought, how do we make the customer experience better? People are liking this concept. People are visiting the website. They're clicking on the products. They wanted to buy these products. So how do we make it better? And the solution that we came up with is like we have to pivot this recommendation model or this affiliate model will not work with us, because we don't have any control on the inventories that these e-commerce stores are managing. I would say that's a huge pivot for us, because even to look at it from a engineering challenge or as a product challenge, the product that we were building, we have to literally scrap everything and start it from scratch. That is when we kind of built out. We thought we'll experiment with very a less number of SKUs on the website, from I would say like few hundreds of products giving recommendations to users. We kind of brought that down to about 12 products or 16 products when we launched the website. And you can understand, for an e-commerce, when the collection is very less, you don't really expect much traction around that. But surprisingly, people started buying stuff on the website, and time to purchase is like few hours. Like time to purchase in the sense when they first visit the website to their first purchase, it's few hours. It's not days, it's not weeks, it's not months. So that gave us a lot of boost, and then we started building out full-fledged commerce product. And that, and then we kind of saw a lot of inefficiencies in terms of signing up production houses and getting the supply chain done. So at every point of time, the inspiration to product building or the inspiration to product shaping up is a feedback that or feedback, I would say, like challenges that we are seeing in the business. So we have built a full contract management system with the production houses, where we kind of send a digital contract and get them signed, a sign off from them to get started using the assets or their content. We would have because getting a meeting with a production house in person is very difficult, and that is affecting our timelines. So that challenge has gave this idea of building this contract management system with the production houses. And the other thing is then, like, the other product development is towards the supply chain. The supply chain, tracking, keeping track of things. There's a lot of process involved in that, and these are very traditional, I would say, like, uh, manufacturing units, where they don't use huge tech to solve or to make it more efficient, the kind of vendors we were working with. Then again, we went back to the drawing room. We figured out, where are the inefficiencies, where are we losing on time, because each and every day is very important for us. Then we came up with this whole system of managing supply chain. So we have identified 16 touch points, and for all the 16 touch points, we are doing the data capturing, and our team will be tracking the data points, so that it has become very efficient. From 90 days, we kind of brought that down to 45 days. That's a huge achievement for us, and that gave a huge a boost to the business. So I would say, like, pivot is happening at each and every point of time. I would not say pivot, like the product improvement. And so we're building a lot of things in the back end, which makes which with which the customers do not directly interact, but they can see the enhanced experience every time they come onto the website. So maybe initially, the movie release happens on day one, and the catalog started coming on day 30. But with these things we are building in the back end, fixing these inefficiencies, maybe even before the movie release, customers started looking at that movie's catalog. And if the initial delivery times were taking 6 or 7 days, now it has become 2 or 3 days for them. So even though they don't directly interact with the products that we're building in the backend, they kind of can experience the enhanced or a better experience with the portal.
So, I mean, so you have to work on multiple facets here, right? And you have to work on the producer and the interface with the producer, technology required there, the whole supply chain. If you have to bring the supply chain down, it needs a lot of technology and also processes, regardless of technology on that side. And then, of course, consumers itself, how quickly can you get to the consumers? And so, sorry. So I think it's all fantastic. Now, now that that chapter is finished, I mean, you had a fantastic. I think you just scaled up from Tollywood to Bollywood to kind of bigger markets, and I know you went explored briefly Hollywood movies as well, and then got your exit. Now, what next? I mean, what are you guys doing right now?
I would say, see, I don't know how to put this, but at the end of the day, we were building tech to address our problems. And in this journey, what we have realized is, supply chain problem is not just for Clapon. And I don't have any inhibitions or hesitations to say that the pie in the pie we are capturing in the whole market is very niche, very less. We're not into the whole fashion e-commerce as well. We are just into a celebrity fashion, but those problems were real for us, and we were building solutions for that. And similarly, how do we manage inventory, or how do we process the orders? We were building we were building an order management system where we dynamically allocate logistics partners in order to based on the pin codes, based on their past delivery patterns, so that we can assist our customer in a better way. All these products what we were building, uh, we they were addressing much larger issues than what they were addressing for our business. I mean, these problems are very common for any businesses out there. Without realizing all that, or like kind of those things were there, we kind of went on and building a lot of tech around solving our issues. And then we like these interactions with our investors happens every time. So I mean, they're always amazed by the kind of technology what we were building in the back end, which don't appear in the front end, or by just daily looking at clapon.com, this everything won't be visible for you. And our investors were where in talks with a really big grocery player who has a great offline presence, and they want to try out this omni-channel approach where they want to be present in the physical stores and online stores as well, and want to serve their customers in a better way. I would say like it was the investors who saw a lot of synergy with the technology we have built with their the new opportunity that they're exploring. So we kind of started getting into the meetings with them to explain how our tech can solve their problem. Uh, and I would say they were pretty amazed by the kind of products we have built for the scale of our business. And we saw synergies that if we can work together, we can make their systems very efficient. So that is when this acquihire has happened with that grocery chain, and we kind of deployed a lot of systems which we have built for Clapone with them. Obviously we had to make a lot of tweaks in terms of how the data is like flowing between the systems, because they have legacy systems. It was again like a good challenge to solve, but we kind of solved that, and like I would say like we made it really good with them. I would like Chinmay to add more insights on this.
So I think it's been an amazing journey the way things have happened with us. I think so. First Clapon, then working with probably India's largest crop producing company. I think the learning has been tremendous at Clapon versus the learning at this grocery chain. So that's when we've actually understood, how the supply chain problems can actually impact the business. Like probably I would say this is one of the companies which actually owns the entire supply chain from seed to shelf, and there's a lot of scope of innovation and technology that can play a role here. Like it can be as simple as like how do you forecast the harvest of a crop. Like a lot of people probably wouldn't know that the entire production is estimated on the plants per square feet. So these are certain small things to talk about, and then eventually, like once you basically understand the entire supply chain of a grocery system, I think I've understood like there's a huge problem to solve. So that's what we
I think
started working
that's
on.
been I think that's an amazing from a technology standpoint. Starting off with automatically extracting metadata from catalog, online e-commerce catalogs,
Yes.
uh, to be able to kind of create a platform for consumers to order, and then from there to manage your supply chain for that business for Clapone. And now supply chain itself is a technology offering to a much larger and completely unrelated business. I think that's been an amazing journey. So all the best in this new kind of product that you're working on right now. Before we sign off, one growth hack tip from your experiences these last 6-7 years. I think you've been through lots of stuff. I mean, I've been at least last 2-3 years. I'm not that aware of what's happening, but prior to that, I was very very aware of what's happening in your journeys. And I think it's been one amazing journey. So one growth hack tip, if you had to give any startup, I mean, it could be in the consumer space or any other space, from your experiences, one growth hack tip, what would that be?
I would say, I mean, this is personally my experience, and that's how it turned out to good for me, or like it worked for me. I would say start early, scale fast, fail fast if you have to, and learn.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with Chinmay, because when we say scale fast, fail fast, I don't know if people really understand the intensity of it. They really have to work on uh, bring that their products like go to the market has to be really quick, and they have to understand the users, and they have to keep on rebuilding. If every rebuild that is like they kind of failed with the previous one, that would be a great lesson like for the growth.
I think everybody says this, fail fast. I mean, prototype, go to market fast, fail fast. But something that makes a lot of sense, but I'm hearing it for the first time, the way you put it is unlearn fast. I think
Yeah.
we get stuck
Yeah.
often things that we have thought of earlier, and like so, I think unlearn fast also is as important in this whole journey. So thank you so much. I mean, Chinmay and Raja, for joining
Thank
us
you,
today,
Ramesh.
and
Thank you.
it's always nice to kind of talk to you guys. hopefully, we'll see you in campus sometime soon. Next time, when
Thank you. Thanks.
We can see, and then and we also hope that you start your team here also whenever opportunity presents itself. Do and all the best in your journeys, and thanks for taking the time off to join us today in this Fire Up series.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for giving us this opportunity to talk to people.